ever find yourself wondering how, like, all the stuff we use every day, our phones, the clothes we wear, could be made more, I don't know, sustainable?
It's a question more people are asking, that's for sure.
Yeah, and today's deep dive is all about, well, the companies working behind the scenes to kind of make that happen. You sent over this stack of press releases all about ThyssenKrupp Uhde.
Ah, yes! Thyssen Krupp Uhde, they're fascinating.
Right. A global engineering firm, tons of experience in the chemical industry, and you seem particularly interested in how their work ties into, this whole global push for a greener future.
And it's a good question, because when you think of industries with, well, a big environmental footprint, chemicals are like right up there.
Sure.
But what's so interesting here is how ThyssenKrupp Uhde is, really tackling that head on. Not just building plants, but like designing the blueprints for a more sustainable chemical industry. It's pretty impressive.
And they've got the experience, right? These press releases, they've built over 2,500 plants, and we're talking over 100 years in the business.
Yeah, they've been around the block a time or two.
It's not just a few factories. It's some of the largest chemical plants, well, anywhere on the planet.
Exactly. And that's what makes their commitment to decarbonization so, I don't know, striking.
Yeah.
It's like this common thread, running through all these press releases. They even have this company statement, we create a livable planet.
I saw that.
It's not just business for them. It's like a mission.
Totally. Okay, so let's unpack this whole decarbonization thing because it's a biggie. And one of the biggest things they're doing is, well, focusing on green ammonia.
Right.
There was this project with Fertiberia in Spain, really jumped out at me.
Oh, yeah. That's a fascinating one. Really highlights a smart strategy.
Oh, so?
Well, see, instead of building a brand new green ammonia plant from scratch, which takes, time and resources,
Months.
they're converting an existing ammonia plant to use green hydrogen.
Oh.
Think about the implications there. Taking existing infrastructure, giving it a green makeover, and boom, significantly reducing reliance on fossil fuels.
It's like upcycling on an industrial scale.
Exactly.
And this isn't just like a one-off project for them either. They're partnering with Johnson Matthey to offer blue ammonia technology.
Yeah, blue ammonia.
Now, I gotta ask, for those of us who, didn't ace chemistry, what is blue ammonia and why is it a big deal?
So think of it this way. Green ammonia, it uses renewable energy sources right from the start. Blue ammonia, it's kind of like hitting the undo button on emissions. It captures carbon emissions from, well, traditional ammonia production, stops them from going into the atmosphere. And what's impressive is that ThyssenKrupp Uhde, with Johnson Matthey, they can capture up to 99% of CO2 emissions with this technology.
99%. That's amazing. Imagine the impact if that became, the standard.
Huge. For air quality, for climate change, massive.
It's like they're offering this roadmap for the entire industry, the whole chemical industry, to become more sustainable.
It really does feel that way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And what's cool is they're not just sticking to, the core chemicals like ammonia. They're thinking about how these materials end up in the stuff we use every single day. Take their project with MOL, for example. It's a Hungarian oil and gas company.
You're talking about that massive polyol complex, right?
That's the one.
Huge deal because it's MOL's largest organic investment, well, ever, which tells you they're serious about this whole sustainable products thing.
Yeah.
But what are polyols? How do they, I don't know, connect to our everyday lives?
Okay, so polyols, they're a type of chemical, right? But they're used in a surprising number of products. Think mattresses, car seats, even soles of your shoes.
Wow, I had no idea.
And the MOL project is fascinating. It's not just about how big the investment is, but how they're building it, too. They're shipping pre-assembled modules all the way from Thailand.
It's wild to think, a more sustainable mattress could come from like a massive chemical plant across the world.
It's all connected, though, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just like making the production itself more sustainable. ThyssenKrupp Uhde is looking at how to reduce harmful emissions from, well, existing plants, too.
And that brings us to their work with Dyno Nobel in Australia.
Yeah, the Envinox technology.
Oh,
That
yeah.
one was interesting because we're talking about, well, explosives, not exactly the first thing that comes to mind with sustainability.
It's a good example, though, of how they're like taking their expertise, applying it to all sorts of industries, even the ones you wouldn't expect.
Right.
So Dyno Nobel, they produce explosives, right? For mining, construction. And with this project, they're going to use ThyssenKrupp or Nadanox tech to, get this, significantly cut down their greenhouse gas emissions.
Yeah, and we're not talking small potatoes here. The press release mentioned like 200,000 tons of CO2 emissions saved per year. For our listeners, that's like taking 50,000 cars off the road every single year.
Makes you think.
It does.
How many other industries could benefit from this, right?
Right. And what's interesting to me is that, Envinox, it's not just a one-off thing. I saw it in a bunch of these press releases.
So
This is
anything-
a core part of their strategy. They're even applying it to ammonia production, remember?
Right, yeah.
Speaks to their ability to innovate in a way that, has these really broad applications.
It's like they found this, I don't know, a key that unlocks sustainability, but across all these different sectors.
Exactly.
And that brings us to, well, the leadership behind this whole thing, right? Because one press release talked about Nadja Haakansson. She's their new CEO.
Oh, yeah, and her background, super interesting.
I know.
She comes from Siemens,
Siemens.
a giant in, energy technology.
Yeah.
Held leadership roles at both Siemens and Siemens Energy. To me, that signals like a serious commitment to this whole green transformation thing.
Yeah.
And right from the top.
It's one thing to have the technology, but you need someone who can, steer the ship in the right direction.
100%.
Yeah.
And speaking of the future, that last press release you sent over, the Genesis fertilizers thing.
Yes.
Now, that's where things get really interesting.
Right.
We're not talking existing tech anymore. We're talking potential game changer. Like, imagine, right? Fertilizer, which, let's face it, is essential for feeding the planet. But what if it didn't have to have this huge environmental impact?
That's a big deal, especially with, the global population growing, more pressure on food production, all that. What makes this concept different? What are they actually proposing? Well, from the press release, it looks like this Genesis Fertilizers project, it's all about using, get this, green hydrogen and renewable energy to actually produce fertilizer.
Exactly. It's a huge change from how we do it now. We are relying on fossil fuels and all that. Still early days. Just a concept for now. They're talking about a pilot project in Canada.
Yeah.
But still, if it works, if they can scale it up,
Game changer.
right, we could be looking at a future where even growing our food has a much smaller environmental impact. And that's really what it's all about, right?
Totally.
Finding ways to, do what we need to do, but without messing things up for the planet, for future generations.
It's like they're rewriting the rules for what's possible. It's, I don't know, kind of inspiring to see a company taking this on, being proactive about sustainability.
I agree. And it makes you think, right? Because all this stuff, these innovations, they don't just impact, the companies themselves.
Right.
As these technologies, they become more common, you get these ripple effects.
Yeah.
Across the entire economy, even down to our everyday lives.
Okay, so let's bring this back around. We covered a lot, right? Green ammonia, sustainable mattresses, greener fertilizer. What's the key takeaway here for our listener? What does all this mean for someone who's, maybe not a chemical engineer?
To me, it's that sustainability. It's not just this, abstract idea anymore. It's becoming a real part of how businesses work, how industries operate.
And ThyssenKrupp Uhde is leading the charge.
They are. It's a great example of how, smart engineering, real innovation, it can lead to real solutions for the big challenges we're facing.
It's like they're showing everyone, look, a more sustainable future, it's not just some pipe dream.
Right. It's within reach.
And that's a powerful message.
100%. And it makes you think, how can we as, consumers, as investors, even just as citizens, how can we support that? How can we make that transition happen faster?
So important because, these companies are coming up with the tech, but it's going to take all of us to actually make a difference.
I completely agree.
Well said. So as we've seen today, this shift towards a greener chemical industry, it's already happening. It's not if, but, how fast. And that's something I'm definitely going to be thinking about.
Me too. And hey, maybe next time our listener is, shopping for furniture or even groceries, they'll, think about the journey those products took to get there. And the company's working hard to make that whole process more sustainable.
Such a good point. This has been amazing. A really insightful look at ThyssenKrupp Uhde and this whole world of innovation happening in the chemical industry.
It's been fun.
Until next time, keep those questions coming and, keep diving deeper into the stuff that matters to you.